I'm Roz Malone, and I was born and raised in Athens, Alabama. My instrument, well, my voice first, saxophone. My musical influence for saxophone, Junior Walker. Junior Walker and the All-Stars, Kirk Whalum. Then vocally, Celia Cruz, Shaka Khan, and Shania Twain. When I wake up in the morning light, and the sunlight hurts my eyes. Volaré lejos de aquí, volaré y seré feliz. Espero encuentres suspiras o que no encontraste en mí. No sé vivir con el maltrato.
My name is Marcela Pinilla Eicher. I was born in Bogota, Colombia.
And my name is Isaac Eicher, and I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
My instruments are primarily my voice. My voice is my instrument. And I play the güiro as well. I perform with a couple of salsa bands here in Nashville and with my own band, and I play the güiro. And I also play the congas.
I had tried a little bit of guitar at one point, but then I was pretty little. I was about 7 or 8, and it wasn't really sticking. I wasn't really, engaging with it. But I had seen my dad play mandolin as well, and then when he said, why don't you try this one because it's smaller? Then he started showing me, listening to music and showing me some different people, and that's when I, discovered Chris Thile. I never stopped, so I fell in love with the instrument. Por favor, minha alma que chora está vendo meu fim, mas o meu coração na sua moradia já é demais o meu penar. Eu quero voltar àquela vida de alegria, quero de novo cantar.
My name's Nevaeh, and I was born here in Nashville, Tennessee. I play violin, guitar, and I'm tapping into piano. What drew me to the violin was when I went to the Nashville Symphony as a kindergartner, and I remember hearing this, beautiful piece that was playing, and I just remember that, hey, there's no one that's look like me on stage. And so I asked my mom if I could play any instrument up on the stage, and I was like, I want to play that one, and I pointed to the violin.
She's a freshman at Nashville School of the Arts and is the 2022 All-American Miss Nashville Junior Team. Nevaeh is also first chair violin of the Cremona Strings Ensemble too, and that's why she was sitting over there where all eyes are on Nevaeh. She's a member of the Nashville Symphony's Accelerando program. She's a member of the Repertory Orchestra with Blair School of Music at Vanderbilt. And she is a member of the Black Violin Foundation.
I'm Lajuanda Jean Harley, born and bred in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a contralto, very low. I play a violin, which is soprano, which is very high, and I also love the viola. I play that also, which is an alto instrument. Well, I started out in first grade. It was integration time, and that was the year they integrated the public schools. That was 1957. Yes. 1957. I went to school that first day thinking that it was a parade, but it wasn't a parade. It was the signs of people protesting the integration of the schools. Third grade at Meg's is when I met Bob Holmes. And my third grade teacher plucked me out of a chair and said, "You go with Mr. Holmes to a room and now he'll bring you back later." I didn't really know what was going on. He took us to a room with a piano, he sat us down, he sat down, and we had to prove that we knew that this note was higher than that note. And he was testing to see if we were tone deaf. Then he put a violin in my arms. And from then on through college, I played.
I'm Dylana Nova Scott. I was born in California and raised in California. I'm a musician. I'm also a parent. I'm also an amplifier designer. I'm a 3-time patented inventor. In fact, this triangle speaker cabinet was one of my early inventions. My mother was a costume designer for musicians. Nursery rhymes for my upbringing were songs like Boris the Spider by The Who or Jimi Hendrix. I think I'm a amalgamation of really the late 60s, early 70s music. It's just in my blood.
All right, Sofia Tortilla.
I was born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm in 7th grade. I play the ukulele and the violin, and I also sing. I grew up hearing a lot of Taylor Swift and Katy Perry, but also some Elton John, and I grew up hearing my mom sing. I do Cremona strings, which is a violin strings orchestra, and I take lessons on the ukulele, and I take voice lessons. I was in a Nashville opera when I was about 7 years old, and after being on the big stage and in front of a big audience by myself for the first time, I really liked the feeling, and I wanted to continue to do it. 'Cause you're my hot chocolate with pumpkin spice, Christmas trees and twinkling lights, you're my flower blooming bright, bees, rainbows, and baking pies. You're my Christmas in July, white snow cones and fireflies. You're my orange autumn sky, you're my bonfire at night. You're my favorite season. You're my favorite season.
Ay, que laurales tan verdes, que rosas tan encendidas. Si piensas abandonarme, mejor quítame la vida.
My name is Rachel Rodriguez, and I was born and raised in Ovid, Michigan, a tiny little super duper small town, but I've lived in Nashville, Tennessee for the past 23 years. My instrument definitely is my voice. I tell all my students that, like, I don't play instruments. I go, yes, you do. You carry one with you wherever you go. First and foremost, our voice is our instrument. Everybody has that. I love to play hand percussion, tambourine. I got my little tambourine necklace. shakers, a lot of hand percussion I play when I perform, and my auto harp. I love my auto harp. Linda Ronstadt's a huge influence on me, the way she is able to go through different genres, and I really, I carry that with me today because I like to jump and do a lot of different genres, but the way she could do country music, rock music, Latin music, really set the tone of my musical journey. But I'll never forget, I was going through my dad's music collection and he had albums, 45s and LPs, and I pulled out this one 45 and I put it on the record player, and it was Roberta Flack singing The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. And that, I'll never forget that moment. I'm like, what is this? And I listened to that album or that little 45 over and over again. And the arrangement was so powerful, and her voice was so powerful. It was gentle, it was sweet, but it was strong. And then the space that song, that arrangement allowed, just how powerful music can be and how powerful and moving a voice can be. And so I will say for that, and I must have been maybe 10, and that was it for me. I'm like, I want to be able to do that and move people through music.
And I don't need you. All the changes you put me through, the smell of your hair, the look in your eye. Okay, I need you, and I want you to share the best for the rest of your life. Growing old together, still holding hands. Okay, I want you.
Today, I'm doing a lot of different things with my music. I have my own band, so I'm a lead vocalist. I do background vocals live for other artists and bands, and also in the studio. So I do session work. I do background vocals and jingles and demos. I also have a bilingual children's program called Songs for My Little Amigos, and I use that program to promote language learning and building community through music and celebrating culture through music. And I work with a lot of big organizations, especially here in Nashville, organizations like the Country Music Hall of Fame, Nashville Public Schools, Nashville Public Television, the libraries, Cheekwood, and I do programming for them. I work for organizations and educators that want to add diverse and cultural programming in their organizations.
My name is Kata Rhe. I'm born and raised in Georgetown, Kentucky. Fiddle-wise, Charlie Daniels. He was one of the first ones that my dad kind of introduced me to, and I wanted to learn how to play his music. Vocally, Katie Lang was a huge influence to me, but then Louise Mandrell is kind of like what got me into playing fiddle in the first place. I saw her when I was 5 years old on the Barbara Mandrell show, and I asked my mom, I was like, what is that instrument? And she was like, well, that's a fiddle. I said, I want to play that. Well, today I'm singing with my best friend, Rachel Rodriguez, in many groups. We have a trio called Siren, and then also I sing with Rachel Rodriguez and the Gringo Stars. I do a lot of songwriting. I perform with the Cremona Strings Ensemble too, where I am taught to learn classical music and in turn teach fiddling instructing to the group as well.
I made peace with my forgiveness. I made peace with my blame. I made peace with foolish pride. I made peace with my shame. Gonna pull myself together, build my bridges high, stronger and better, one piece at a time.
My name is John Prestia. I was born in Bayshore, Long Island, New York. Being the Italian family in New York, my father played piano and accordion and guitar and anything. He wasn't a musician. He was a mechanic, construction, but he could play anything so beautiful. And Sunday mornings, you'd wake up to a piano playing and you smell the spaghetti sauce cooking, and everybody would come over and music would just go on. But we all had on our porches in Long Island our little Sears and Roebuck guitars from probably about 11 or 12 on, just making music. And then we started a band, and we were playing every Friday and Saturday from probably 12 or 13 years old through high school. I remember 5 years old, and I don't have a great memory, hearing Elvis and actually imitating Elvis with a broom in my hand or something. So it started early.
One piece at a time.
Graduated high school. I went straight from high school into the Navy, which is during the Vietnam War, 1968 to 72. I was in the Navy. And then I got out and hitchhiked the country for about 3 months with my guitar in a backpack. So there was an education there. I mean, left New York in a rainstorm from under a bridge with a backpack and my acoustic guitar on my back. Hitched out to Washington State, up into Canada, down into Mexico, back through the just camping and getting an education. I mentioned my father was a mechanic, construction, build houses. Well, as soon as I was old enough to swing a hammer, drive a truck, I was probably driving a bulldozer when I was 8 years old. So I became real mechanical too. So of course the guitar mechanics just made me crazy. How does that work? How can I make this better? And if you understand the guitar mechanics, it makes you play better, because it's like a race car driver who understands, oh, I better take this thing to 180, but I better back off on this curve, because he understands how the motor and everything is working. Same with an instrument. If you understand the mechanics, you can push the musical boundaries of it a little bit harder, a little farther. So I met my friend Joey Supak, who was with Tim McGraw. You ever heard of Tim McGraw? He's like a country singer. But they needed a guitar tech, which I had never done for anyone else before. Of course, I always did my own. So I went, I helped out, and next thing I know, there was the little handcuffs on me to stay, and I'm now in my 24th year as a guitar tech for Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. And they're great people. It's a great family, so I do that too. That's sort of what I call my day job. Supports my passion for actually playing and writing.
Jannelle Means, and I was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Of course, live in Nashville, Tennessee now, over 20 years now. Well, my voice is my main instrument. Janet Jackson was somebody I wanted to be when I was growing up. That was a moment in time where I was thinking I would be this big performer like Janet and dance and sing, and I love Paula Abdul too. But as I grew older and matured, my vocal ability helped me to see how my influences like Shaka and the Isley Brothers were big for me, and what I can do with that type of music, because soul music is in me. I'm so passionate about that genre. And so I think in those moments where I was older and was able to do that type of music myself, those would be pivotal moments for me where I realized what I could do as an artist. Someday I will run away, leave me standing proud. But if it's all said to you, baby, I won't stop you from saying goodbye. Baby, I love you. Baby, I need you. Oh, baby, I want you. Gotta have you, baby. it's been a whirlwind. I'm just thankful for all the things I do now. So I do different gigs, and I have my own band, the Jannelle Means band. Get to do session work, doing lead and background vocals. Then I have an organization called Soul Vibes Global, and Global is an acronym that stands for Global Love of Building Arts Legacy. And so what we focus on is spotlighting soul music and different subgenres of soul music. We really want to be able to educate people about soul music, bring communities together through different events and activities surrounding soul. So it's been a great experience doing that. I'm also a co-founder with an organization called Magenta Expression. It's basically a performance and life coaching program to help creatives become their authentic self and help them shine.
Tyson Leslie.
Hi.
What led you on this path of being a musician? Was it an event? Was it a song? Was it an artist?
I don't know. It's weird because my parents were not musical at all. I was born in Vietnam and I was adopted by a Caucasian family. It just was something that I was drawn to. And my dad had this little cheap organ when I was a kid, and sit around, pick around, all that kind of stuff. And they discovered that I had an ear for music, so I just started taking piano lessons from this lady down the street, and learning stuff like that, and so I won a talent contest in Greeley, Colorado, and with that $100 that I got from that contest, I bought my first guitar because Motley Crue was way cooler than Mozart at the time.
Now we're getting to it.
So it's like, okay, I want to do that instead, and so I did a little of both, still sitting around, playing that stuff, but then also playing, stuff like, whatever. So, doing a little bit of both. And when you're in a household where you don't have musicians in the house and you're practicing, they don't know that I'm not playing the stuff I'm supposed to be playing. They just say, he's practicing. I'm just playing the stuff I want to play instead.
I am Gaurav Bali. I grew up in northern New Jersey, about 30 minutes outside of New York City. My family's originally from India, so you can imagine the first music I heard around the house was Indian classical music that my dad was playing. His side is actually quite artistic. My uncle actually played the sitar and was featured on the radio in India in the 1940s. So that's the first music I heard. And then later on, when my mom started watching Bollywood movies at home, there are actually a couple of very famous Bollywood songs that have acoustic guitar intros. So I would say probably the first guitar I heard was this part. Nice little acoustic guitar intro, and there's many others. There's a lot of acoustic guitar, strumming in Bollywood songs. So that's the first guitar I think I heard. As far as electric guitar, when I was 6, my best friend came over with a cassette tape by a heavy metal singer named Ozzy Osbourne. Of course, he wasn't playing guitar. It was the late great Randy Rhoads, a song called Crazy Train. So I was blown away by this sound. I didn't even know it was a guitar at first. My friend had to tell me. So now I'd heard electric guitar and fell in love with it, but I'd never seen anyone playing. Then came MTV. I saw the video for Jump by Van Halen. And there's Eddie Van Halen up there with a big smile and a yellow jacket on, having a blast. And this guy's playing guitar. Right, he's playing guitar with both his hands on the neck. I thought that's how you played it first, because I'd never seen anyone else play guitar.
Okay, Rachel Rodriguez.
First of all, thank you everybody for being here today, and I have to give a big shout out and thank you to Julie and Manuel, who have been longtime friends. They are now family, part of my family, and big supporters. And so for that, I'm extremely thankful. And I'm an East Sider, so it was really important to be able to have this special event here at Delgado's at the Music Maker stage. But we're here because I got the support from Metro Arts through their Thrive program, and to do something collaborative with the arts. And I'm so blessed to work with beautiful, talented instrumentalists, vocalists, creators, and I wanted to take the opportunity to shine a light on them and tell their stories and what got them on their musical path. We all have that little something that either we saw a performance, or we heard a song on the radio, or we saw a certain artist sing, or went to a concert, and we're just like, that's it, that's for me, I want to do that, I want to play that instrument, I want to write music, I want to create. So that's what this program and this event is all about. So first up, I want to introduce Miss Lisa Spells.
My name is Lisa A. Spells, a native of Nashville, Tennessee. I did not choose the viola. The viola chose me, which is really interesting. I started first, well, simultaneously, but initially first I played flute under the tutelage of Andy Goodrich in the Metro Nashville, then Nashville Public Schools, segregated schools. And he was the band person. Then came in a man named Robert Bob Holmes. He was our string music instructor, and boy, did he let us pick our instruments. I initially wanted to play the cello. However, I was a little girl, and the cello was too difficult for me to carry from place to place. So then I said, everybody's running to the violin. I heard the viola played. The rich sound of it just lured me. And it was a range that was comfortable for my vocal talents. So I chose it after it chose me. I continue to play viola with the Cremona Strings Ensemble, the Cremona Strings Ensemble 2, that's TOO, and the educational side, Cremona Strings Ensemble 2 and Development Group, Inc., the nonprofit free string music education program, in partnership with my students, my families, Parks and Recreation. I have to say that they're wonderful. Manuel Delgado at Delgado's Music Makers Stage. And also I'm delighted to have our Kata Rhe, who is our folk music fiddling instructor. You, my dear Rachel, who brought in Songs for My Little Amigos, and you bring in a cultural flair to everything that we do. And I am helping with some of the other schools. Meigs Middle School is one of those. And I've worked with Crestwell Middle School, Two Rivers Middle School, Wright Middle School, and worked with their string music instructors in teaching their students techniques, posture, reading music, music theory and composition. So I'm all over the place with music.
To have music in your blood is really all about the feeling. There's a feeling, no matter what style of music it is, there's a feeling. And so I latched on to that. I remember seeing Yellow Submarine in the theater. My mom took me to a matinee of that. Golden Gate Park. Let's see, in '69, my mom took me to the Seattle Pop Festival. So I saw Led Zeppelin, The Doors. I sat on the stage in the afternoon during Bo Diddley's set. I had my feet dangling off the edge, and I just would stare up at Bo, and he would sing and point at me. My mom was working on their costumes, and it was just incredible. I did go on to play music, and it was just a natural progression. I took electronics in high school, also took computer programming, decent at both, and then I pursued a music career. And that feathered into doing music production. As we can see, we're in my home studio environment, and songwriting and recording. And as an artist, I've had record deals and toured the world and MTV videos and That's all wonderful. The band I was in and still play with to this day is called Vain, V-A-I-N. So all of that to put into music, to the progression of now I create music gear. I get to irrigate electrons to water the garden of the soul, right? So the musician is the gardener, and they decide what goes where. And I am helping them move all of this. So the song, the energy, if they can feel it, they need to be able to move it into the place where others can now experience it. So I make emotional translation devices. Okay, so here we are in the Third Power shop. This is kind of an impromptu walkthrough. This is Jeff.
Hello.
And Jeff is making our circuit boards. So we start with the stock material, and Jeff drills every hole. And then these turrets is something we press in and we swage in so it mechanically grips the board. And then underneath the board, I'll borrow that, we put all our wire traces on. So everything is hand wired point to point. And then Jeff will begin to populate the components. And these are all components that are chosen for their sound and for the feel. And as I talked about earlier, we irrigate electrons to deliver an outcome that becomes predictable musically. And music is sound and emotion transferring from one place to another. We take the emotional energy of the musician, convert it to electrons, and amplify it, and then we convert it back to airwaves for you to interpret with your ears and your heart. So that's what we do.
So when I got in college, I was introduced to Celia Cruz by Lalo Davila. He let me sing, but I also played in the salsa band. And so that was kind of the moment where I was like, I don't really want to do this thing. I have so much soul, just like she does, and I just want to be able to, I was like, I could really do this. I could really do this. I'm making my own path, being my own trailblazer.
The first 3 records I ever owned in my life was the Star Wars soundtrack, Sesame Street Sings, and Kiss's Love Gun record. This is a true story. Another one that I really still love, and especially with all the, the world is a lot different these days than it was when I was growing up, as well, pretty much any adult will attest to at this point in life. And one of the best songs ever written, in my opinion, was this song from the Muppet movie soundtrack. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? What's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, they're only illusions. Rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told that some choose to believe it. I know they're on the way to see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and
me. So at this point, this whole thing became a little bit more within reach, attainable. So we knew it was going to be hard, but it was like, you know what? If he can do it, maybe we can do it. Let's give it a shot.